Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Vaesen Nordic horror role-playing rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and Thursday's children are on the way. And now, on to the show.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome once more to the Old Ways podcast presenting Vaesen Nordic horror. And today we're playing The Friend, the Fiend, and the Shadow of the Night. And we have a fantastic table of Thursday's children here. To my right.
Yeah, hi, this is Mike, and I'll be playing Father Eric Sorensen, who has just given important last rites to a fallen woman.
Well, whether or not she was a fallen woman remains to be seen, but perhaps we'll find out later. To Father Sorensen's right.
Hi, this is Miranda playing Marta Osterbeer, and I am currently, most recently, serving as sidekick to Sven as he interrogates children.
Indeed, yes, you've been making sure that they don't feel too overawed by Sven's presence. Speaking of whom, at the head of the table.
Hi, I'm John. I am playing said Sven. Sven Anderson, hunter, occasional Vaesen killer, occasional Vaesen helper, and I guess now employer of ragamuffin street children.
Fantastic. And maybe you will find some gainful employment for them yet.
I've got animals that need skinning on a regular basis.
I'm sure you have. And last, but definitely not least.
I'm Nate. I play private investigator Nickel Doppler, and I am on the case. I've ventured off to try and get to the bottom of this young lady, Milena Yurtsik, I think is what you might have called her. I'm sure it's okay to go off wandering the streets alone.
Yes, her name is Milena Yurtsik. Oh, that's what it sounds like anyway when you spoke to that old woman. So let's start indeed with Nickel as you're walking through this part of Uppsala where the migrant workforce live. It is certainly not the most pleasant area of the city. Other parts are clean, bright. There are trees, flowers, gardens, beautiful houses. But this is where all the people that make that possible live, and their environment is not nearly so pleasant. You can see a great deal of poverty, a lot of people clearly struggling just to stay alive out here. These workers come to the city, they work hard, they provide this beautiful environment for the residents of the city and also for the people who come to visit the city, to walk through its gardens, to enjoy the architecture. And they are the ones who make it all possible, but they do not live in beautiful gardens. They do not live in rich, fancy houses. They are struggling hard to make ends meet here. And it seems like the good citizens of Uppsala are not really going out of their way to make life any better for them. So you can make your way through these tents, through these shacks, towards where there is a fairly sizable, I'm not going to use the word building because it's not exactly a building. It's clearly been pieced together out of bits and pieces that people can use, pallets, bits of wood, bits of tin, that kind of thing. And it's quite near a small church that clearly has been in the city for quite some time. It's a much more solid, constructed building. And all around you, there are children, men, women, old and young, some of them running through the muck on the street. There's also a definite scent in the air of the poverty of this place. Where is it you're heading for exactly?
I'll follow the general direction the old lady had given me, and every so often I'll call out, Yurtsik, Yurtsik. Anyone recognize Yurtsik? Just trying to cast a wide net and see if I catch any fish.
All right. Why don't you make me, let's say, an inspiration roll to be able to attract the attention of someone who might be able to furnish you with some information.
Nickel is quite inspiring. I'll roll 2 dice. Hey, a 6 and a 4.
Fantastic. You got a success. Well, as luck would have it, somebody looks your direction when you say that name. He's a kind of a young-looking man. It looks like he's got some sort of binding around his leg and a rudimentary crutch. He's clearly injured himself in some way, and he kind of looks up at you and says, "Yurtsik."
Yes. Are you family? Yurtsik family?
No, Yurtsik. Yeah. And he points to one of the other tents. Yeah, Yurtsik.
Hand over my heart, thank him, and I walk off towards that tent.
Okay. As you go towards the tent, you can see that there do appear to be some figures inside it. You're not quite sure what they're doing, but the flaps of the tent are drawn slightly so that you can sense that there's movement inside.
Excuse me, Yurtsik? And I'm standing outside the tent, sort of calling in.
One of the sides of the tent kind of gets pushed aside, and this woman looks out. She looks like she's maybe in her late 30s, possibly. Yes?
This is your name? Ma'am, I'm with the society, and I'm helping our police force with a matter. Could I come in? And my manner is as if I'm presenting myself at her manor estate.
Okay. She kind of looks at you. No. Speak Polski? Yeah?
But I'll look at her and I'll say, Malena Yurtsik? And pointing at her.
Malena? And the woman kind of looks around. Malena? Yeah?
And I'm pointing at her, yep.
Malena?
And then I'll make the universal gesture of, where is she? And I'll look around, exaggerated left and right, just trying to convey.
She calls her, Piotr! Hey. And this man looks a couple of years older than her, kind of pushes through. Huh? Yes? You want?
Sir, I'm helping the police with a matter, and I'll pull out my magnifying glass and just pantomime sort of looking around with it as I'm trying to communicate.
The two of them look at each other and sort of shrug. Who?
I'm searching for Malena.
No. Polski? Yeah?
I assume I don't speak any Polish.
Make me a learning test. We're looking for 2 successes if you can, to be able to make yourself understood to these people.
No, I got 7 on it. No, I got a lot of 5s, and I got 1 6.
Yeah, I mean, they barely speak any Swedish at all.
And I'll call out, can anyone help me speak to the Yurtsik family in Swedish? It's loud and looking around, seeing if anyone can translate.
Make me a manipulation test. There's a few people about.
No, 2 5s.
People sort of shake their heads. And I suppose this is probably a good place to say that you can invest in push rolls. You can do it when you want more successes or even just some successes. However, it does come at a price. If you push a roll, you must also, once you have re-rolled, take a condition. Conditions in Vaesen can be physical or mental, and they reduce your effectiveness at certain skills. Physical skills, you might take a minus one or more dice fewer if you've got a condition. There are a number of conditions that you can take, such as frightened or angry. There are also consequences to having more than 3 conditions. Once you have more than 3 conditions, you're what's called broken. And we'll maybe come to that at some later stage, but that does have a rather more serious effect on you as a character. So if you want to push a roll, you simply re-roll any dice that you haven't already rolled a 6 on, the same number as you had before, at which point you take a condition, after which you'll have slightly fewer dice for your rolls for certain skills.
Might I re-roll that learning check that you had asked for before?
Absolutely, you can certainly do that.
Right. Because I had 1 6 and I needed 2.
Alrighty. So you can re-roll the same number of dice as you had before, after which point, whether or not you have any successes, you will take a condition. And I'll tell you what your optional conditions are for that.
I had 1 success. I'm going to re-roll 6 of my 7. No.
No further successes.
No further successes.
All right. So that is a mental skill. So you will take a mental condition, and your options are angry, or frightened, or hopeless.
So I think as I'm standing within this camp is almost the feeling, and it reminds me of camps that I've been in other cities, and it's the same story. It's immigrants and migrants come and they build the things, and they're left with the scraps, and they're left, and I'm feeling hopeless already.
So if you mark the hopeless condition on your character sheet, and then you will have a -1 to all your mental skill rolls from now on, until such point as you get some sort of healing to your condition. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can get healed. One of them is to interact with your memento. All the characters have a memento. They have a little something that has some sort of meaning to them. If you get a little bit of time to interact with that, just some peace and quiet, you can heal one condition. There are other ways of healing conditions, such as a doctor, for instance, can make a medicine roll to heal a physical condition. For the time being, you are despondent and dejected at your inability to communicate with these people.
I think of my memento, which is back in the castle. This book, it's a book in a foreign language. And of course, it's written in Polish. And I'm thinking to myself, I had so many opportunities. And I think I'm just going to leave, and I'm going to head off towards this church in the hopes of finding someone who can translate. And so that's where I will trudge off.
Okay. We'll leave you trudging off towards the church. It's not that far away. And we'll return to Eric, Sven, and Marta. You're standing in the town square as the people go about their morning business. The smell of freshly baked bread drifts across the square from the other side, and you can see a number of people making their way excitedly towards that area.
Well, bread does not sound such a terrible thing now, yes? I let my nose do the inspiration for the locomotion to my feet and move that way.
As you walk through the square, you see a number of stores, a number of businesses. There's a greengrocer, fresh vegetables being put outside. There's an ironmonger whose windows appear to be boarded up. It looks like it's closed up. On the corner of the street, there's a butcher's, and it's got a sign outside which proclaims it as being the singing pork chop. And a little further along down the next street, on the corner, there is a bakery, and there's a little queue of people forming outside it, and that is where the smell is coming from.
Look at my fellow society mates and say something to the effect of, it's interesting how the littlest things in life can bring people so much joy.
When the littlest things in life relieve a hungry belly, you'll be surprised how much joy they can bring.
These people have honest grievances that the city is not hearing, or they have heard but choose not to act on. I'm going to step a little further closer to this and try to pick up on some of the exchanges between people as far as what they might be talking about, and just give that age-old axiom quote, which is to listen twice as much as you talk.
Excellent. So what you pick up on is that the people in the queue are very much looking forward to receiving purchasing their freshly baked morning rolls and loaves. There's towards the end of the queue that's forming, that's getting a little bit longer now. There seems to be a little bit of chatter, maybe a little bit of concern that people saying, I hope Peterson doesn't sell out before we get in. This bread is so good, isn't it? Yeah, it's the best bread I've ever tasted. And there certainly does seem to be a lot of enthusiasm everyone can make me a vigilance or investigation test as you're kind of approaching this queue of people, if you want.
Well, it shall be vigilance for me. That's 1.
None for Marta.
And 1 for Sven.
Okay, so Marta doesn't really notice this, but both Sven and Eric, you can see that there's a man who is not part of this queue, who is standing on the corner of the street, just where the bakery is. And he seems to be watching the queue and kind of observing it form in front of the bakery as the doors are clearly about to open for the morning trade. But he doesn't look so overawed. Well, I know overawed is not quite the right word. He doesn't look so excited as they do about the prospect of purchasing some freshly baked bread. He's wearing an apron. He's a fairly well-built fellow, quite tall, quite broad. And he certainly doesn't seem to be quite as jolly.
I'll look at Sven and sort of verbally clear my throat and say, the gentleman there in the apron doesn't seem to be here for the bread.
No. I'm not too sure what he's here for, but maybe he sees a lot of things.
Perhaps he saw something in the alley.
Well, as I told you, the small children say they saw a man appear, and he waggles his eyebrow as he says, cuddle the woman, and then disappear.
Yeah, I'll work very hard not to react to the word cuddle visually, but simply say, I don't know of any normal chemistry or even alchemical solution that will allow a man to disappear.
Oh, magic. So, that's the only thing it could be.
Or a highly active child's imagination.
Look, we both know that's not what it is.
As the two of you are kind of muttering quietly to each other, you see the man just kind of turn on his heel and head back along the side of the square, and he goes into the butcher shop.
Marta, do you fancy any meat tonight?
Yes.
Let's have a talk with the butcher then.
Marta will start heading that way.
Yeah. We'll head down towards this shop and perhaps hear the preparatory sounds of meat being set up for the day.
Yes, you hear the thud of a cleaver into a wooden block as it slices through the leg of some indeterminate animal, which is going to be hung up on a hook for sale shortly. Yeah, you can head into the singing pork chop, and this man is there behind the counter. He is using his skill and expertise to dissect what looks like it's probably a pig, and kind of looks up. Morning.
Morning, sir.
What can I get you?
Well, we were just discussing possibly some steak for dinner tonight. What do you have available?
I have sirloin, I have rump, I have... What do you need? Stewing? Braising?
And braising would be good.
How much?
I do a short calculation of the 5 people and think, we'll say 3 pounds.
And he goes to where the meat is. He's obviously got a large meat counter and takes out some braising steak, weighs it on the scales, and comes to just a little bit over what you've asked for, and takes it, wraps it up in some paper, and that's 2 krona.
I don't know how much krona I actually have on me, but it's as long as I can pay the cost, I'm happy to pay it out of.
Yes, it's not expensive. I don't know the exact exchange rate of krona in 1865 Sweden, but I'm going to work on the basis that 2 krona is a fair price for the what you've been provided with.
I'll pull out the 2 krona and say, I noticed just earlier there in the square there was a bit of a disturbance.
Yes, yeah, the police and the workers. they're not friends with each other.
Yes, I've heard it's an ongoing situation.
Yes, the workers want better conditions. The police aren't interested in conditions, they just want them to work.
I look over at Sven. Are you familiar with this unfortunate soul, this woman who passed this morning?
No, I don't know who it was. I heard a name, Maria or something, was it?
Milena.
Milena? I don't know. Sounds Polish.
That it does. Unfortunate, but it seems to have been happening more often, yes?
Well, people die here. Nobody cares. Men, women, children sometimes.
So I'd like to try to get a read on him as far as his emotional state, whether he is just trying to brush us off or actually quite literally does not give a shit.
Yeah, you can make me an observation check to try and read him.
Right. 6 dice. Happy to do so. I have 2.
Excellent. Yeah, you can tell that he is a bit of a gruff individual. He doesn't seem to be someone who particularly shows their emotions, but he does seem to be a little concerned about the situation in terms of he doesn't seem to be on the same side as the police in this particular altercation. He does seem to think that the workers are not being treated well, but maybe there's not much he can do about it. He's just working in his shop.
Given his proximity to the square and to the people who live there, it's natural that he would feel some sort of empathy if he was an open soul. He would feel some sort of empathy to the people living in squalor around him.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So if I hadn't felt that, then I would be more concerned.
No, you do definitely feel that, yeah.
So I'll just say my friends and I work for the society in town, and we're concerned quite greatly about what's happened to her. And
the society?
Yes, we're quite concerned. We received a letter from a concerned citizen here about these situations going on. Someone with we'll just say, we believe a deep concern for the events.
Well, what society? You'll be aware that the society is not particularly well known in the city. Some of those that do know of it just think it's some rather eccentric people with some rather bizarre ideas about the world. A lot of people just know that there's an old crumbling castle that people used to live in years ago.
I'll say to him, are you familiar with the Castle Gillenkreutz?
Yes, I think so. It's just by the river, yes?
Yes. The society operates out of that at the benefit for all here in Uppsala.
With your observation 2 that you got, there's a couple of things that you notice. The first thing is that you think he's heard of the society, and he's making out like he doesn't know what it is. The other thing you notice is that his neck and his hands they're quite hairy. They're like considerably more hairy than either yours or Sven's or Nichols. And he seems to be scratching himself quite a lot around the back of his neck and up his forearms as he speaks to you. Doesn't seem to be really aware that he's doing it.
I'll again take his take a measure of him and say, you've heard of us. You've been here long enough, yes? Sort of lean in a little bit.
I don't know what you mean. Everybody can make me an investigation check.
1.
1 for Marta.
None for Sven.
Behind the counter, there's a little back door which leads into his living quarters, you think. And it's a crack open. And as you kind of lean over, and those of you who are just in the right position, you can see that in the room behind the shop, there's a table, and there is a little pot of ink sitting on it and some sheets of paper that look very similar in style to the paper that the letter that was written on that you received this morning.
Marta has that letter probably still, right?
Yes, correct.
I will physically defer to Marta as I nod towards his room.
And I'm going to say as well that the meat that you've purchased, he's written the price of it on it, and it's very similar script.
I've got a question real quick. How old is this guy?
He looks like he's in his mid-40s, maybe late 40s.
Do his eyebrows join in the middle?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, Sven's just like, yeah. You, have you always lived in Uppsala?
No, not always. Been here for about 10 years now.
10 years.
Why do you ask?
Oh, it's just that 13 years ago, you reminded me of somebody, that's all. Somebody I knew back then.
Oh, a friend, I hope.
I thought so.
Sir, as the father mentioned, a community member reached out to us, and I'll pull out the letter. I can't help but notice that your handwriting is strikingly similar. Could you perhaps be a concerned citizen?
He just seems to be kind of bumbling to try and find a response to your question. And then after a moment or two, while he's desperately clutching some way of avoiding the admittance of having written this letter, his shoulders kind of slump a little bit and says, Yes, I wrote that, yes. I didn't want to draw attention to myself, but yes.
Oh, it's all right.
The police, they found out that they would just, I don't know what they'd do.
If the police found out what?
But that I knew something or...
But you do know something.
No, I don't know anything. I just know that there's trouble here and somebody needs to do something about it. And if the police knew that I was asking for help, then I don't know what they do. They don't like it when,
Yes, no one likes to be shown up. Yes, but God requires honesty in all work, and you're simply doing that with this letter.
You are all three of you from the castle, yes?
Yes.
Sven just nods.
Something's wrong here. Something's going on. The police, I don't think they can help. Maybe you can.
Have you seen the other bodies? Or any of the bodies up close?
Other bodies? No, I've not. No. You can tell he's lying, Eric. No, I've not seen any bodies, no.
Have you?
No. You can make me a manipulation test if you want to try and nudge him towards.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess how do certain equipment bonuses work?
So what equipment are you...
Well, I'm just thinking, this isn't the sort of fellow I would probably offer a fine wine to. We're not in that setting. But I might place very carefully on the table in front of him this leather, bit worn Bible that I've come to trust and know, and just as a moment of importance has arrived, just carefully place my hand on it and say, these people who have been lost to us deserve a full flagon of honesty from everyone. Don't you think?
All right. So he looks at you, looks at the Bible, and you can make me a manipulation test, and you can get your Bible's bonus for it.
Nothing like manipulation the free folk with the Bible. That's just not anything wrong with it. Ooh, that is 4.
Whoa. Well, okay. So yeah, he says, "Oh well, how could I refuse honesty of a man of God? Yes, last night I saw the woman that the police came to take away this morning. I saw her come from out in the forest. I've not been sleeping well, and I went for a walk to clear my head, and I was walking round the outskirts, round through the trees, and I saw her. There was a man with her, and I watched them for a moment. He was speaking to her, and I heard a noise. I looked around, and when I looked back, he had gone, and she seemed to, I don't know, come to change her mind or something. She shook her head, and she started backing away, and then she headed back in towards the town. She was moving like back and forth, like she was dizzy or drunk or something, and so I followed her, and well, she got into town. I saw her go down the street, and she leant against the wall to steady herself for a moment, and then went down the alleyway. But it was almost as if she was in a trance or something. I don't know. When she stood up again from leaning against the wall, she just was looking straight ahead of her, or walked just straight down the alley. It went out of my sight. I couldn't see her, but I went down, and by the time I got there, she was on the ground. I took a few steps. I wanted to see, but it was something I didn't feel right. I ran. I should have gone to her. But I ran. I'm a coward. I didn't want to get involved.
No. You are not a coward. You are mortal, just like the rest of us. You have done so well, as you've informed people who can get to the bottom of this. Yes, I look at Sven. Now, my associate here had heard a similar story just this morning from other interested parties here in this area of the city. We are going to work to get to the bottom of this.
I don't know anything else. I know there have been other murders, similar murders. You might have seen in the newspapers. There was a woman murdered. I think middle of 16th. I think it was, or 16th or the 17th. A woman, Hjortsberg, I think her name was, and then in another, a midwife. A midwife was killed on the 23rd, and then just a few days ago there was a maid. I think she was Polish, Kaja Bodrajan. But the police, they don't care. They came. They took away the bodies, and nothing happens. They do nothing. These people, and they are like worse than animals to them. They don't care if they live or they die. Four of these women have been killed now this month, and how many more must die before they do something?
You and I agree in that sentiment. We will act where the police cannot or will not. Thank you for your time and for the meat.
If you ask me, there's somebody around here is responsible for it.
Well, the bodies do not appear out of thin air, so there is a reason. While that reason might be something that we cannot yet see, it is not to say that we cannot find it.
And there's something odd going on with the bakery as well.
What do you mean?
Oh, Peterson, the man who owns it. These people, they queue up every morning. It's something, I don't know what it is, something not right. The man. What do you know of the people around here? What do you know of?
Quite a bit, but perhaps not all that I need to know. Tell us what you know of Peterson's bakery.
Well, Peterson, he was married, you know. Well, he is married, I suppose, still. His wife, she ran off. I think she the ironmonger, Angstrom.
Well, if his wife ran off, they are still married under the sight of God.
Yes. But he started drinking, you know? Started drinking. He'd always been a drinker. He'd always been and maybe that's why she ran off with this man, Angstrom. But when she left, it got worse, and he didn't get up. He didn't bake, and the business, it started falling apart. He would be in the pub every day, and his products. I used to work with him. You know, he and I would provide him meat for pies and that sort of thing. But he just didn't speak to anyone, didn't do any work. His shop started falling to pieces, and he was going to have to give it up. You know, his business was falling apart. There was, nothing left. But then just a few weeks ago, things started just picking up out of nowhere, and suddenly he's got queues outside his door again. He's there every day, and you smell this bread. It's wonderful. He's never been so good. It's never been so busy. Something's wrong there. Something's up. And the patisserie across the road, their business is collapsing because of it. Everybody goes there now. Everybody goes to Peterson. They don't go to the patisserie for their baked goods.
Well, whether this is because of some chicanery or because of something else is to be seen, but it is an important informational piece to have. I thank you, my friend.
Maybe it's these new people he's taken on.
What new people?
Oh, he's got a new shop assistant he took on a week or so ago because he can't manage it on himself anymore. He's so busy, and he's got that boy in the back baking for him as well.
The Polish?
No, I don't think so. No, I think he's one of the migrants, but no, I don't think he's Polish. He's maybe Russian or something.
All right. Well, thank you. May God bless you today.
Thank you, Father.
Sven is going to, before we leave, he's going to be like, just to make sure I got things right, could you tell me those dates of the deaths again?
I'm trying to remember. I think first one I recall was the police took the body on the 14th. I think no, not the 14th. When was it? 16th. Yes, the 16th. Second one was the 23rd. They came. That was the girl Ivana. Yeah, and there was one last night, of course, and then there was another one that she was. I think it must have been the night of the 27th because the police came on the 28th. Take her away. Now, one line in the newspaper, and that's it. These girls, these poor girls, they are good, hard-working girls, I think,
Let us take this burden off of you for now. We will speak with the bakery and the workers there and come to some understanding why it is. Perhaps even the patisserie, too, as they might have some idea as to why this sudden wind of change is only filling the sails of one baker in town.
Meanwhile, on the other side of town, almost, Nickel, you're heading over towards this little church, and you can see that there are sort of a number of people in this little kind of community area, and in amongst them, you can see there is in fact a priest. Looks like a pretty old man, but he's speaking to one of them and seems to be showing him a couple of pieces of paper, kind of pointing out things in them to him.
Does the priest look like he's talking to other immigrant workers from the area?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent. And so I will walk up and wait respectfully until he has a moment free.
He finishes up talking to the man that he's talking to, who shakes his hand and thanks him, speaking in a language you don't recognize. And the priest turns to you and you can tell he's probably in his mid-80s, maybe. He's a pretty old guy, tall, lean, white hair, dressed in the garb of the Russian Orthodox faith.
Yes, my son, can I help you?
Father, a moment of your time.
Of course.
I'm looking into some disturbing events in the area. Perhaps you've heard of some girls going missing and turning up recently.
Yes, sadly, I am. I know the parents of two of the girls. Yes, indeed, it is a terrible, terrible thing.
I'm afraid I bring terrible news of a third. And I believe it's possibly another of your flock.
As I understand it, there was a girl last night. That would be fourth.
Yes. Malena Yurtsik, Father.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed, yes. I know her. I know her father, Piotr. Yes, Polish girl. A seamstress.
She was found this morning, I'm afraid, and I was unable to speak to the parents. I tried, but...
they don't have Swedish, no.
Yeah, that's what I discovered. What do you know of these other girls? Is there anything... Do they all come from this area, then? You know of all of them. They're all from this camp.
Yes, they are all from... yes, this is where the workers live. Some of them have... they have housing, but it is cramped, it is unpleasant. The rest, they make do as best they can out in the camp. But I don't know all the girls or their families, but I know of them.
Were these girls friends of each other?
I believe two of them were friends, yes, but I don't think they were all friends. Some were a little older. I believe Anna Hjortsberg, she was another seamstress. I think she was 21, 22.
Obviously, the police do what the police do, but we are trying different tactics in order to...
Well, I wouldn't expect the police to be of much assistance. They're really not. They're really not interested. These people are not important to them.
I'm working with several others, and we are taking an interest in this matter that the police are not. Anything that you can think of that would link these girls. I'm trying to understand. It's happening pretty rapidly. I'm trying to understand how or where. Maybe they go to the same place, they drink in the same, their entertainment, they work, etc., as we do.
I know that they were all good girls, They all worked, they were loved by their families.
Do you know, you said two seamstresses, do you know where the others might have worked?
Yes, I believe one of them was a midwife. What was her name now? Yes, Ivana Yashavska. She was a midwife. She was the second girl that was taken. Yes, and Kaya Podrajan. She was a maid. She worked in one of the houses.
I'm trying to obviously create a length. I know this is maybe an odd question. If you've seen all these girls, are they all pretty? Do they all have the same color hair? Are they all the same age? Anything else physical that might link them?
They're all about the same age, I suppose. I think they were all between 17 and 18, 20, something a little over 20 maybe. Late teens, early 20s maybe. Pretty? Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say.
Of course.
What is your interest in this?
I'm Sarah Nicole Doppler. I work.
Doppler.
I work at the Castle Gillenkreuz with my associates.
At the castle.
The castle, yes. We're fixing it up and putting the society back, as it were. I don't know if you are familiar.
I have heard tales of the society, but I wasn't sure if it was just gossip.
It is not gossip. I work with Father Eric Sorensen. I do not know if possibly you are connected in any way, but...
I don't know the name. Is he Russian Orthodox?
No.
Oh, well. I'm Father Troster, by the way. Father Petr Troster.
Troster, you've been very helpful. I fear, Father, that we're dealing with a criminal that is of a habitual nature. This is why I ask these questions, trying to understand possibly what this... I believe it's the same killer doing these crimes, and I'm trying to, of course, ascertain if there's a pattern so that we might interrupt.
Mr. Doppler, the sad fact is that many die here, more disappear, and the families grieve and their friends grieve, but nothing is done. The police don't investigate, they don't really care.
Father, that is what we're here to do. We are here to care, and we are here to investigate, and do what the police will not. This is my promise, that we are here to care.
Wow, that is very kind of you. Wish others took it seriously and with such import.
Well, as you, of course, have seen, those of us have seen the darkness in this world, we know that we must fight it vigilantly at every step.
Yes.
Father, I must speak ungently now, but I feel like I need to explore one last detail. I'm sorry in advance. The girl, Milena, her manner of death was not normal.
In what way?
Her body seemed unharmed and untouched, pure and pristine as when she was born, except for one minor and major fact, I guess, all in one. The poor girl was drained of all of her blood. In some way that makes no sense. There was no mess, there was no spill. Father, does this ring any memory bells for you?
He stops for a moment in thought, looks at you. What are you driving at, my son?
I know it is delicate, but one of the reasons we take such an interest is we look to those crimes and those perversions that are on the edges and borders of our world. And we are looking for the monster that would have done this. Drain this young girl of her blood, and how? We have no idea. Unless it's a mechanical or a device. And have you run across anything like this, or does it...
I do not know of any mechanical means. I am not an engineer. But, my son, I think there is something you're not telling me.
I will share with you
Speak frankly. I'm an old man. I've seen many things. It is difficult to shock or surprise me.
The previous night, me and my compatriots shared the same dream. And we realized we have shared it several times. It showed terrible things. And I'll briefly outline the rituals and the hunt. This morning, we all woke and realized we had shared this singular dream, and quite impossible, and that is when we were summoned to look into this latest crime. I'm convinced we are dealing with the unnatural, the Vaesen of this world, in some way, shape, or form.
Make me a manipulation test, if you would. Just one success you need, that's all. Don't forget you have currently got a penalty to your mental skills due to your condition.
Thank you for reminding me. I would not have wanted to.
You seem like you have lost hope, my son.
I have, but I rolled a 2, 3, and a 6. 1, 6.
Excellent.
A little hope restored.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "Come, sit with me. Have some tea from the samovar." And he leads you into a little room off the church and pours you a hot cup of tea. And he says to you, "My son, what do you know of the vampire?"
And I will eagerly and greedily consume any and all information he might be willing to share, because I believe Nickel knows nothing of this.
So we will go back to the other group and we'll see what they're up to. Having just left the butcher's with a bag of steak
and some suspicions, perhaps.
Stake and suspicions. Fantastic. I'll find a street urchin, a boy who is looking for the eye of... looking for to perhaps make some money, or if there's a messenger here that I am aware of, or where they might stand or sit or wait to be tasked with a job.
I think you know that any of the kids around here will happily act as a messenger for a few coins.
So I'll point at a small boy and say, "You there, lad, I have a task for you."
What's that, mister?
I take this package of meat and I place it in his palms and I say, "There's a castle, Gilcrest, not far from here." I point down the direction of the street.
Oh, that big spooky place.
Yes, it's where I live. But fear not.
Is this your lunch?
Mm-hmm. No, this is dinner, and it will be delivered to the gentleman there behind the door. You'll knock 3 times very carefully. He'll come to the door, and you will explain to him something very simple, which is, this is to be braised for tonight's dinner.
Braised.
He'll know the way.
To be braised for tonight's dinner.
Good. In your pocket, I'll break off, say 5 ore pieces. Place these for your trouble.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. How is the bread here at this bakery?
Oh, it's lovely. Oh, it's the best you've ever tasted.
Just as I thought. Run along then.
Yeah, my mum's getting a loaf.
Fantastic. Where's your mum?
She's in the queue there. Oh, look, she's just going to go in.
All right, then. Perhaps I'll say hello to your mother.
Right, mister. And he runs off happily.
Now, I anticipated we would barter with the meat, not just give it and some cash to a child, but...
Yeah, it remains to be seen whether it will arrive at its destination or not.
The meat is simply a means to an end.
As is so often the way.
So yeah, I suppose it would be right to queue in line, but I'm thinking, Sven, perhaps there is a way that we could get a look at the baker in question, perhaps before we speak or make a selection.
Sven just kind of nods at you. He's like, "What you have in mind?"
Well, every bakery must have a door it receives goods at, yes?
Mm-hmm.
We need to find out why this bread is so good. And while I might be able to get several loaves to go with potentially fish I might find for a service, you might be able to find other ways of getting inside.
Might be able to, yeah. Leave it with me. I'll, and he just turns and walks.
So yeah, we'll get in the queue and split our efforts a little bit.
All right. You can queue up. There's a fairly substantial queue now. People are starting to move through the shop, and you can see through the window. There's a little bit of activity behind the counter. There seems to be an older man, maybe in his 40s, possibly, and there's a young man as well with him. Looks like he's probably mid-20s, maybe mid-20s, maybe early 30s, but probably not quite as old as that. And the two of them are busy wrapping up loaves and rolls and that kind of thing, and serving their customers. And the queue progresses. As it does, moves fairly quickly. It seems to be a pretty efficient operation. As it does, you can see people starting to come out of the bakery with the loaves and that kind of thing that they bought. And you can both of you can make me a vigilance test. I'm assuming that Marta is in the queue with her father.
I should hope so.
I was making that assumption as well. Ooh, no successes for Marta. Very distracted by the scent of fresh bread.
Just watch her moving her nose up and down. I just have one.
You just have one? Yeah. These dice are rolling brilliantly for you. One is all you need. Maybe Marta's is rather distracted by the wonderful aroma coming from this shop. But you happen to notice as you're kind of moving towards the shop, and there's a few people come out, that the people, as they come out holding their loaves of bread, they seem to be a bit more subdued than they were going in.
So I guess my question is, would I equate that to a man who needs a good drink and seeing the relief on his face?
Not so much, no. It's more, there's you look at them, and as a man of the cloth, you have a certain sensitivity for people's moods, and you would say they look, if anything, they look tired or sad, weary.
Like the energy of getting the bread has taken something from them?
A little bit, yeah, drained of energy a little bit, yeah, maybe.
We might want to be a little careful about how deeply we take in the aromas when we get there. It looks like it's quite taxing.
Yes, we should, I suppose, steady ourselves then and just take note internally if we feel any changes occurring.
Agreed. So we'll go with that sort of a play as we get closer in the queue, is to sort of expect something that might try to latch onto us or pull something out of us. And so I will say a prayer to protect Marta and I, while not forgetting Sven, of course, as none of us are beyond the sight of God, and that he protect the three of us to ensure our safety in these daunting times.
All right. Speaking of Sven, what is he doing as he breaks off away from the other two?
Sven is breaking off, and he's just going to circle the block and try and find his way in. Like, there's an alley down the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's going to go down there, and he's going to poke around at the deliveries entrance.
Okay, yeah. So in order to get to the alley, you need to walk a little bit down the street, not too far. Across the road from you, just a couple of doors down, is this patisserie, and you can see that there is a sign above it that says "Un coin de paradis," which, if you want to make me a learning test, you might know what that translates to.
Yeah, I got a single success, so I guess maybe someone previously told me what this shop's name means.
Well, yeah, quite possibly, yeah. So the Un coin de paradis, the literal translation is a corner of paradise, but what you probably would, for a shop like this, it would be called a slice of heaven. And as you look at the goods on display in the window, you think, yeah, they do look good, actually.
Yeah, as I'm going to leave off the deliveries entrance for a second, because these guys are their competitors, and his business booming has really hit them. If nothing else, there's a chance they'll have something. It might be spite and rumor, but it will be something.
All right. So you're going to head into the shop?
Mm-hmm. That's the plan.
Yeah. So you go in, and there is a man and a woman standing in the shop, wiping down the counter, and the woman's arranging some pastries on a shelf. And they look at you when you arrive and smile. Welcome to Coin de Paradis. How can we help you?
Oh, good afternoon. I was looking for some pastries, and I've heard the French aren't to be beat.
Yes. What would you like? We have many. We have some apricot slice here. We have some patisserie here. We have macaroons here. What would you like?
To be honest, this is all a bit of a overload for Sven, who doesn't actually know what most of these pastries are, and who is not used to non-Swedish food. So yeah, he's going to ask for like a little explanation and so on, and he's just, striking up conversation.
So the man says, "Of course, Celine, help this gentleman. Help him choose something that will be to his taste." And the woman says, "Oh, of course. Why don't you try this?" And she points out a few pastries and explains, this is almond, yeah, oui. And this one is taste of this is strawberry in and cream, yes.
Eventually, he's going to settle on some kind of millefillet, some kind of flaky pastry, because that's not standard for him. He's like, oh boy, this one has different stuff. Ooh, and icing. That's just basically sugar.
So yeah, you can get 2 or 3 little pastries which look delicious, and say, "Oh, wonderful! That will be for you. First customer of the day. Special price of just 30 €."
And he's like, "Ooh, that's a hit." And then he looks at all the stock they have, and he's like, "Oh gosh, that's as he's counting out the change. He's like, this is an amazing deal. I'm amazed you don't have more customers coming in and just running through the door.
I know. Mr. Peterson's bakery, it is very, very busy these days. Very busy. People that they came here. We have not been open long. We just opened in the spring, and first things were good. We get a lot of custom. A lot of people like our pastries. But Mr. Peterson a few weeks ago, he starts making this amazing bread. I think he has a new baker working for him, and I don't know where he found him, but it's very nice what they make, and people, they don't come here so much anymore. It's a worry. Please tell all your friends about the beautiful produce that you get here. We're very proud of what we make.
Of course, I will. I'll endeavor to do so. And if you ever need meat, please feel free to write to Castle Gillenkreutz. I can get you venison. I can get you various various game.
Oh, we get we get meat from Brigger and the Singing Pork Chop.
Ah, the Singing Pork Chop. Yes. Brigger, he told me the story of your of the bakery as well. I mostly just wanted to talk, but I also did want pastries.
Of course, we're happy. Yes, we're happy to talk. Our friends here in the city. We're making a life for ourselves in Uppsala.
Well, as you are welcome to. I wish you all the best. Peterson, it sounded like he was doing very poorly until he brought this boy on. Yes.
I don't like to.
You make me a manipulation test, if you could. They're kind of being coy about talking about him.
No successes.
Yes, his business was not doing so well. I think he was having troubles. Yes, but
you don't think maybe it's something he's putting in the bread?
I don't know if so. Whatever it is, it seems to do the charm, huh?
Mm-hmm. No, is it better flour or is it better eggs? Is it milk?
I don't know. I don't know what his recipes are, but like I say, whatever it is, it seems to work, and people really enjoy it. Queues are outside his door every day.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, I could try and get you some of the flour he has, and you could see if it is better than yours, or
of course, yes, of course, if you like.
And he just holds up a hand. He's like, as a favor to a friend.
Maybe an observation test.
1 success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a funny glance between the two of them when you talk about bringing them flour. It's you can't quite put your finger on exactly what it is, but it seems to you that the idea of you bringing them flour to use for baking it's a bit strange, maybe.
I mean, look, if you have the same supplier, this would be a waste of time. But just in case he has, I don't know, better stuff. I'm a hunter. I know my things, and I do not know.
Oh, well, thank you. It is very kind of you.
I will tell many people about the pastries that I got you, and that you always have stock.
Merci. Thank you. Enjoy, please. Yes. Don't save it up. Eat it. Enjoy it.
I will have it with my dinner.
Good.
Very awkwardly, just kind of step back out.
And there's as you go out, there's a kind of head pops through the back door, and it's a young girl. She looks like she's maybe about 16, something like that. And you hear her say, "Mama," and the woman says, "Oui," and the two of them go back into the back of the shop, whilst the man carries on, kind of reorganizing. Now that there's been a few pastries have taken away, kind of reorganizes the display a little bit and just sort of stands waiting for another customer.
The daughter, does she bear any resemblance to, the same kind of eye, hair, facial features as our dead girl that I saw this morning? Or
You wouldn't say so, no. She's a bit younger as well.
yeah, she's that year younger, so year or two younger maybe.
Year or two younger, yeah.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, I'm still going to try and check around the back of this weird bakery.
Alrighty, so yeah, you can go down the alleyway, and you can kind of work out just from the distances where you reckon the back door of the bakery is, and yeah, indeed there is like a kind of the same sort of back door you'd expect to find in any of these kind of businesses, with some refuse bins sitting outside.
Yeah, so I look around. I'm like, okay, it's too late in the day. All the materials will have arrived or already. Any deliveries would have been made. The only thing I can think to do would be, I have some burnt oak tree ash in my pocket.
Okay.
Just because I'm a superstitious crazy man.
Fair enough. I think that's maybe quite a good thing to be in your line of work.
It helps actually with the werewolves and the whatnots. I'm going to draw a cross with the ash in the middle of the delivery door.
That's fine. Yep, you can do that. You step back to admire your handiwork.
I think I did a really good job.
Excellent. So if there's nothing else that you want to do while you're there, we will return to Marta and Eric as they reach the doorway of the shop. There's 2 or 3 other customers in there being served at the minute. And when you walk in, you can see that the shelves have got a number of loaves of bread on them. Quite a few of them have clearly already been purchased. Behind the counter, there's this older man and the young man who appears to be helping him out. There's a door behind them as well that leads into the back of the shop. Maybe that seems to be probably where the goods are baked and that kind of thing. And the older man has he's got quite a ruddy complexion, and I think probably, Father, you will recognise the signs for the kind of cracked veins on his face of a heavy drinker, but he doesn't seem to be in any way hit by that just now. He's he's talking to people, wrapping up their bread, handing it over to them, and the other man's taking the money, putting it in the till. The other man's, as I say, he's probably about late 20s. He's got kind of thin hair combed across his head. He's got quite a sallow complexion, quite thin-faced, and he kind of nods at them, gives a very short little smile at people as he takes their money and rings up the sales. And over on a lintel over the counter, you can see there is a little sort of plaque has been hung up. Looks like it's fairly freshly painted as well. And the plaque says, "Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring."
All right. So what I want to watch is the actual mechanical process of people getting the bread as he pulls it, and then the delivery to their hands or to the younger, sort of thinner man here who's working the counter. And I want to see if there's any physiological or emotional change within them, right? I want to take these few heartbeats and just watch the process a couple of times, even if I've got to, with grace, allow someone behind me to go before me, as if I'm not yet done selecting. This is where I want to dawdle.
Okay, there's not an awful lot of room in the shop, so you will sort of be getting in people's way a little bit if you're doing that, because the traffic is moving fairly swiftly in and out of the shop.
All right then. So can I do this from perhaps a moving position as well, and sort of lock the eyes on the mechanics of what goes on while I continue to move?
Yep, absolutely. You make me an observation test. Marta, are you just sort of following suit with the father, or is there anything else you'd like to do?
Well, if possible, perhaps Marta could be in front of the father to be purchasing, and that way the father can observe from the outside, and Marta also wants to kind of take measure of whether or not I'm feeling any sort of emotionally draining effects of the purchase of bread, other than just standing in this line for a long time.
Okay, yeah, sure. So you can make me an observation roll as well as you purchase your bread. There's a little bit of kind of pushing and shuffling and stuff as you try and maintain your position while people are filing past you. And you get a couple of slightly odd looks from people. So, why don't you just buy your bread and go, like everyone else.
There's no successes for Marta.
Yep, none for the father either. So I think I'm going to push this roll.
All right. How are you going to push the roll? Well, you don't really need to do anything particularly different. It's slightly different mechanic here, but
yeah, I'm really going to hone in on the counter man. Maybe it's I don't like the way he looks, or maybe it's I don't like the saying above the dwarf. It seems a little strange based on the reactions, so I'm just going to.
All right, so you can roll all your dice again, and then after that you will take a mental condition
of 1, but I will take a. I think I'm going to take an angry condition.
All right. Okay. So, you're one success. What exactly are you trying to glean, to discern from the situation?
Well, I want to find the moment of the physiological change that happens. People are so very eager to get bread, and they're so very eager to get what this shop owner has to offer that they'd queue for however long to get it. And when does the actual exchange take place? Even if I have to use Marta as a test example.
All right. So what seems to happen is that they've got a pretty smooth operation here. The older man will take the order, say what the order is to the younger man. He will wrap the bread, while the younger man will ask for the money for that particular order. Then once the money has been passed to him, he'll ring it into the till as the older man hands the bread or the rolls or whatever it is over to the customer, and then they will move to one side and the next customer will take their place.
Right.
Can Marta also push the roll? Since Father Sorensen was kind of doing an outwardly inspection, I'm investigating inwardly. I would like to also push mine.
You can, absolutely. And how is your anger manifesting itself as well, Father?
I think he would likely get frustrated with and angry at all of the people here seeming to use the Peterson's bakery as the next golden calf that has sprung up here in the city, that they're objectifying, that they need it, that it's so wonderful that they can't be without it, that the objectification, worshipping
at the altar of baked goods,
as we all have done, so say we all. But yes, I think that's where his emotional visage would change a little bit. He might put quite the frown on.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll give you as well with that observation roll is that the older man seems quite welcoming and friendly towards the customers, but the younger man, he seems a little more sullen, and he just kind of takes the money, puts it in the till, just waiting for the next customer. It seems to be more mechanical for him than doesn't seem to be really interested in customer satisfaction. How did you get on, Marta, with your rolls?
I did get a success.
Yeah. Again, and is it this younger man that you're specifically focusing on? Or?
I was more focusing on myself, since we'd seen these people coming out seemingly emotionally drained, and we had talked about kind of trying to steady ourselves against this, but instead I will be not steadying myself. I'll be opening myself to emotionally draining things and seeing what happens.
Yeah. So as you enter the shop, the smell of this baking bread is very, very pleasant, and it's fresh, it's clean, it's delicious, and you're kind of buoyed along a little bit by this. But you find that while you're standing in the queue and waiting to get served, and the father's getting annoyed, you're not quite sure why he's getting annoyed. Maybe they're taking too long, and you feel yourself it's all so wearisome, and you just think, I'm not sure why I came in here after all. I don't even want it. Do I want bread? I don't know if I want bread. And your emotions just kind of take a bit of a downturn.
I will also be taking the condition hopeless, because we have many tiny threads, but we haven't quite found that one big one to pull yet. So I'm feeling a bit down about that.
Yeah, you're feeling like, oh, are we ever going to figure out what's going on here? There's people dying and we're standing in a queue for bread. What's going on?
Exactly.
And if you stay in there more than a few moments, the queue of people will kind of jostle you a little bit, and you'll get the definite feeling that that they're wanting you to move on, get out, and continue the flow of trade.
Oh, sure. I'll go to the counter and prepare to purchase bread, and I'll say, Peterson, is it?
That's right, sir. Yes. What can I get you?
Well, bread, of course. That is what we're all here for, yes?
Rolls, loaf.
Loaf, for certain. We've a fine cut that we're going to be having for dinner tonight from the local butcher here. And we'd like to pair it with this bread.
Oh, yeah. Brigger, yes. Indeed, yes. Yes, he's a character. Dalston, 20 order for the father here for his loaf.
I sort of go into the pouch and begin picking out the coins, but I'm going to do so by watching this man and his reaction.
The assistant just kind of looks at you and says, 20 order. And holds out his hand.
I carefully drop them one by one.
Thank you, father. He, once he's received all the money, he kind of looks through it and rings it up on the till and puts it in the till.
How heavy is that till when he opens it? Meaning how heavy, how laden with coin?
Oh, it's pretty full. Yeah, you can tell they're doing a good trade today.
I'll offhandedly remark to Peterson. I'll say, should expect to see you Sunday then with such a till.
Yes, of course, father. Yes, yes. See you Sunday. Yes.
Good. I'll make my way out.
Okay. And the sales continue. The queue is dying down now. There's not so many people. It's just maybe a handful of people. Everybody seems to have dispersed with their purchases and moving away out the square as the two of you come out of the bakery. And I would say, if unless there's something else Sven would like to do, that he kind of made his way round from the back of the alley by now and rejoined them.
Sounds good to me.
So we will leave Eric, Father Sorensen, Marta, and Sven standing together in the corner of the Vaksala Torg to discuss exactly what they've experienced over the last few minutes, what progress they've made. And Nikkel Doppler sitting in a little side room at the church with an old priest who's about to impart some knowledge of the undead upon him. And that is where we will leave today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time.